Hi everybody, welcome back to DayZ. Now this is a server mod technique that lots of people know about already, but I've never really covered it, so I thought I would in this video, and that is how to make exploding zombies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick demo, and then we're going to look at the code on how to do it, and then we're probably going to have a little bit of discussion about maybe the playability of it and the stories you might want to tell with this sort of technique. So here I am up at the Northwest Airfield, and if we look over here, we have a handy little NPC zombie or infected out of space. So let's just now see he's exploded into a cloud of poison gas, which isn't very nice if you were near him, definitely. And right now, this guy has just exploded with a grenade. Oh, we got another NPC one coming. Right, more poison gas from him. And then we should just have normal. Oh, right, another guy with a hat. Oh, another grenade exploded. Where's everybody else? Okay. Got any more zombies, or have they all wandered off? Let's see if we can find some more. I do apologise for the purists for calling them zombies, because obviously they're not. They're infected. Maybe one day we'll have a cure for them so that we can turn them back into normal NPCs, and they'll be rather shocked to wake up in genres as it is now. Though I can't imagine you'd be very healthy after wandering around in the open air for several years with an infection. You know, you're gonna need a bit of Savlon, aren't you? You're going to need a little bit of moisturiser on that skin to kind of recover. And the chafing would be terrible. Okay, so I can't see any more zombies. Let's fire a bullet, see if we can attract them. They might have all wandered off because my character has been here a while. So anyway, so you get the idea. So the idea is that when you kill a zombie, an infected, they will explode. Right, here we go. So here we've got a normal zombie. So you'll see this guy. When I shoot this guy, nothing happens. Right. Okay, so let's just exit out of there for that chap. Let's have a look. So what we're doing here is we're taking advantage of the fact that when a ruined grenade or a ruined chem gas grenade or a ruined 40mm ammo spawns into the world, if it's ruined, it explodes straight away. And we're also exploiting the fact that as infected zombies are wandering around the world and they're alive in inverted commas, they don't actually have any loot on them. Because, you know, infected do, don't they? You know, they're in their cargo, that is. Because the way that it works, or the way that I understand it that works, is as the infected are kind of staggering around, doing all this sort of stuff, if you were somehow in the game able to go up to them and pickpocket them before they noticed you to see what was in their pockets, there would in fact be nothing in their pockets. So what you can see is this is a dead zombie on the ground, and there's his cargo. That's what's in his pockets, if you like. There wouldn't be anything there. Because the way that the game does it is that when you kill the infected and they're dead, that's when the loot that they potentially might have in their cargo, in their pockets, that's when that appears. So we're exploiting the fact that the zombies aren't walking around with ruined grenades in their pockets. That only appears when the infected dies. And when the infected died, anything that's in their cargo appears, and if it's a ruined grenade, that will then explode. So it's not like the way it works with players. So the way it works with players is if, for example, this player here who's got grenades on their plate carrier, as this player's running around the map, if another player was to shoot them and damage a grenade and turn it to ruined, it would explode. Also, in theory, and I haven't tested this, but if you had a grenade, for example, I think in your backpack, and you got shot through your backpack and the grenade became ruined, it would then explode. So that's the game mechanic that we're exploiting. So how do we do this to our server? How do we do this mod? And this works for PC, PlayStation, Xbox console servers. Now we're going to need really 3 files to look at. You're going to want your types.xml, your cfgspawnabletypes.xml, and kind of your events as well. So where do we get them from? So what you want to do is you want to go over to, if you're on console, you're going to go over to Nitrado. And you'll want to go to the web interface for your server. And then you'll want to go to the file browser for your server. And then you'll want to go into the mission folder. So it'll be DayZ for a Chernus folder, or DayZ for a Livonia server. And once you're on there, this is where the files start to be. So we want the CFG spawnable types. So you can download that. Now, I recommend, whenever you're doing any modding, download the file, make a copy of it that you can keep to one side, and then edit it locally on your PC using something like Notepad++. And then when we're done, we can validate it, and then we can send it back up to the server and restart the server. Of course, you can edit it live on the server by clicking on it, and I understand that if you're maybe working on a phone or working on a tablet, this might be the only way. But if you're obviously working like that, be very careful. So you want the CFG spawnable types, and then we want to go into the DB directory, and then we want to download the types, or open the types, and then we want to download and look at the events. While we're at it, let me just quickly open up another window. So that's how we're going to validate the files if we need to at the end. So an XML validator and a JSON validator. And I'll put links to these in the description below this video. Very important, because it means that once you've done your editing and you've saved, you can then use xmlvalidation.com just to check the file to make sure there's no spelling mistakes in it. So that's quite an important file to have. So we've downloaded the file to our local PC and we've opened them up. So we've got types.xml, and we've got CFG spawnable types, and we've got events. The file that we're working really is CFG spawnable types, but we've downloaded types as a reference so we can get the correct class names. So the first thing we need to do is we need to set one of the items that will explode in our zombies pockets to spawn in the world ruined. Okay, and so in order to do that, we do that within CFG spawnable types. So CFG spawnable types, there's many things. One of the things it can do is it tells the game what items things should spawn in with. So what items zombies should spawn in with, or if it's a gun, whether it should spawn in with a magazine or a scope and something like that. But it can also individually place levels of damage with particular items as well. The overall levels of damage are set in globals.xml, which is covered in a different video. So in CFG spawnable types, in the vanilla version of it, there's no references to these particular items, and these are the ones that will explode if they spawn in ruin. So the M67 grenade, the RGD5 grenade, the grenade chem gas, the flash grenade, the 40mm chem gas, and the 40mm explosive. And so what you can do is, if you just look at, say, one of the other entries, say type dirt bike helmet blue, and then what you do is you just copy that, and then you could make some space, just paste that in. I'm about halfway down CFG spawnable types, just above the zombies, and then what we could do is we could then get the type name for the M67 grenade. Now the reason why we've got types is because this enables us to do a quick Control F to do a search and look for grenade. And the idea of that is that we can then work through and we can find the correct class name for the grenade. So if you're not quite sure what the name of the thing is, having types there means that you can just make sure you get the right type. So then we could put that in there like that, and we want to get rid of all the attachment stuff because we're not interested in that. But what we do want to do is have that line there. So you want to then type so left arrow bracket damage space min equals inverted commas 1.0 inverted commas max equals I pressed the right button. I've got a really rubbish keyboard where it's the buttons have worn away. Max equals 1.0 inverted commas / right arrow bracket, which is there. There we go. Obviously I've already done it there, so we can get rid of that one. And so what this says to the game is, when an M67 grenade spawns in, spawn it in ruined. So something was spawned in pristine would be, say, 0 or 0.1. And what you can do is for items, you could have, if you wanted to vary the damage, you could put min is like 0.1, max is 0.5. But in this case, we want the grenade to spawn in ruined. Now, as I've said before, these are the items that will, if spawned in ruined, will explode. The thing to remember though is you don't really want to do this with everything, because by setting the M67 to spawning ruined, we're effectively removing this item as a usable item from the game, because any M67 grenades that spawn into the world are going to spawn in ruined and just immediately explode. Now have a think about that. Put that to one side for a minute, because that means we can do some other interesting stuff that I'll cover in some other videos. So if we come over to the M67 grenade, you can see that in the types.xml there should be approximately 15 of these that will spawn in around the world, and so they're removed. So probably the thing you don't want to do is to change all of them. So the M67 is the NATO grenade, the RG5D, that's the Russian grenade chemcache. You don't want to have them all to spawn in ruined, because in effect you're removing them from the game, unless you do want to remove them from the game. Now the other thing you can then do for the purposes of this is, as well, as you can see, I've turned the grenade chem gas to spawn in ruined as well. So I've made an entry for type equals grenade underscore chem gas, damage min 1, max 1. So that's how we make those things spawn in ruined. And then what I would then do is I would then remove these other entries, but I've just put them there here for reference. Then if we scroll down, we can see that in the zombies entry here for the zombie NBC yellow, I've added a little entry there. So it says left arrow bracket cargo space chance equals inverted commas 1.00, inverted commas right arrow bracket, and then we've got item name equals ammo underscore 50ml 40ml underscore chem gas, chance equals 1.0. So what this is saying, that every single yellow dressed NBC zombie will spawn in with a ruined chem gas in their cargo when they die. So in fact, if you shoot one of these, or you do a melee kill on, he falls over, that spawns in and explodes in a cloud of toxic gas. So that's what we've done with that one. And then if we scroll down here, what you should see is, where's the officer? Where is he? Army, zombie patrol, normal. Here we go. So in the entry for the zombie officer, what I've done is I've added another similar thing, and we've got cargo space chance equals 1.00, item name equals RGD5 grenade, chance equals 1.00. So all of the officer zombies spawn in when they die with a ruined grenade, which will then explode. So how do we vary this? Well, what you could do as well is, if you didn't want every single yellow NBC zombie to spawn in with a grenade, you could change it to say 0.5. So that would be a 50% chance of one spawning in with that. Or we could change it to say 0.1. So it would be quite a rare thing for it to spawn into. And we could do the same with the officer as well. We could say with the RG5 grenade, we could say 1 is 100%. Let's change that to 2.5. So 1 in 4 of these officers has a chance of spawning in with one of these grenades on them when they die, and then they will explode. So I think you'll agree the actual effect itself is really cool. The question then is, how do we make it playable on our servers? Because with both of these things going off, with the chem gas or the especially with the grenade, when the grenade goes off, if you're close to them, so you're meleeing one of these zombies, it's going to kill you, and maybe kill the person you're with as well if you're running with some friends. And that isn't always fun, because it takes a long time in DayZ to get geared up, and especially if yours is a difficult server, more of a hardcore server, and your player gets somewhere and they melee a zombie and it explodes and it kills them. It's a bit, and you're back at the coast, so you're a bit like, oh, okay. So it was fun to look at, but gameplay wise, is it really that much fun? So I think there's a couple of things we can do here, and I've kind of showed you them here. And so the reason for having the NBC zombie have the chem gas on him is that he's clearly identifiable. So when when the players on your server, when they learn that yellow NBC zombies will have a chem gas grenade on them, or might have a chem gas grenade on them, they're then faced with a dilemma, aren't they? Do they kill that NBC zombie and risk getting gassed, or do they run away and try and kill them from range, or just not kill them, because they can't do that? And similarly, that's the reason why I've added the grenade to the officer, because the officer is fairly clearly identifiable because he always has a hat on. So you just look out for the officer hat army, and if you see a soldier zombie with a hat on like that, an officer hat, you know that he's going to have a grenade on. So if you choose to kill him, he's going to explode. So you're taking that risk when you make him explode. So you're giving players a way to learn. So it's not completely random, because a very frustrating thing in video games is random deaths that you can't control. We've the most common form of this is bugs, isn't it? So it used to happen all the time when you were in a car and the car would flip out and it would kill you. That sort of stuff. Or you used to fall underneath the map. All these sorts of things. And you'd be like, oh no, that's a real bummer, that is. So bear that in mind when you're setting up these sorts of things. Is it obvious to players which zombies may have an exploding grenade or an exploding gas grenade on them, and then communicate that information to them in some way via your Discord or via your Facebook group or something like that, and try and make it so that it's very consistent. And then really also remember that if you use a flash grenade, the flash grenades aren't lethal, but they could be very dangerous. So if, for example, you get swamped by a group of zombies and you punch one of them, he dies and a flash grenade goes off, and that then blinds you for the next few seconds, and then the other zombies can kill you. That's something to think about as well. So just be careful with the way you do it. Now, the thing that I did as well with this was I added the chem gas grenade, a ruined chem gas grenade, to the NBC yellow, and then in the events I went down to the infected army and I reduced the soldier normal desert and the soldier normal woodland from 5 to 4 to take 2 off, and added the NBC zombie to infected army and to infected army hard, so that these NBC zombies would spawn in where had a chance of spawning in where soldiers were, because they could kind of, if we're kind of going off the law of DayZ, and they are chemical attacks, when everything was kicking off in Chernarus or Livonia, chances are the soldiers would have had NBC soldiers with them. There's an argument that maybe I should have used the yellow NBC zombie. And then the other thing you may want to do is go down to the infected that spawn in by the ships. So infected NBC yellow. So infected NBC yellow. There's an argument for maybe turning that off. I don't know, so that you only have infected NBC, say, with the army people, because what you don't want to do, say you go to all the effort of gathering your NBC gear together, your gas mask and your everything, and then you go to Riffy or Pavlovo, and then, well, saying that, yeah, I mean, you've already got your NBC gas on, haven't you? So if you do kill one of those zombies and he does explode with gas grenade, it's not going to affect you because you've already got the gear on. So yeah, so that's fine. You can leave them as they are, but do consider adding NBC zombies to your soldiers. Obviously, you could go completely random and just have a random chance of any military zombie having, or any zombie at all really, any infected zombie having a ruined grenade on them. But I know I would personally be very frustrated if a few hours into a run with a character, I've spent time investment in that character, to then punch a zombie and then he explodes and he kills me. I would be a little bit peed off at that. Same if he had gas as well. So I think it's very important that when you use this technique, you make it as obvious as you can without breaking the law. So, in terms of you could have military zombies with like a construction hat on, couldn't you? Making it obvious, but I don't think it needs to be obvious. I think using like officers as having exploding grenades and having the NBC zombies having exploding chem gas grenades is more than good enough. So there we go. Hopefully you find this useful. Hope you find it a nice little technique. I know I'll be adding this to my survival servers, maybe my other servers as well. because I think it's a nice bit of spice. And as I said during the video, really have a long think about how we could use this technique for other things. Anyway, so once you've done your edits, you would then hit the save key on CFG spawnable types and events if you've edited that too. You would then go back over to your server, and then over the top of the existing files, so you'd hit upload over the top of events, and then you would do upload and upload the edited file on top of CFG spawnable types. Restart your server, and the zombies would then spawn in with those new nasty grenades in their pockets. Anyway, that's enough from me. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and I will of course see you again soon.